Well, back at it again.
I think it's the year that it just rains. It just rains and rains.
It's depressing. Like, why? Unless you're a duck. Like, what is happening right now?
Kind of has like Seattle vibes right now.
El Nino? Is that what it is? Is it El Nino or El Nina?
Maybe.
She's a miserable one anyway.
She's not happy.
No, it's not good.
Yeah.
And what else has been going on in our world?
Well, it's been busy. It's been busy at our team at work and personal, and lots to be thankful for. But the markets apparently just continue to go up. No matter what we're doing, if you're working or if you're traveling, the stock market just continues to be euphoric and frothy. And I think people are forgetting that it actually can go down.
Well, this is it. There is the potential at some point for there to be some sort of pain.
A little bit of pain?
Just a little bit. We don't want a ton.
No.
But just a little reset would be good with things.
I think the problem is when you have these long, protracted, like 2-year runs, is people just forget. Like we had that one, was it 12 months ago or 18 months ago? The market shifted for maybe 3 weeks at the max.
Yeah.
And it was just enough to scare people. Volume, people are calling in, they're nervous. But the next thing you know, it's just running up again. And I think people get so used to it correcting and then running up very fast that they forget that sometimes these protractions could be 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. That could happen. We just haven't had one in the longest time.
Well, the biggest one we've had was basically 2022 when they raised interest rates 8 million%.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then real estate for the first time in a long time is feeling a little bit of that.
They're feeling
participating a little bit of that pain.
Feeling a little bit of it. And on that note, our guest today is an Ottawa-based realtor who brings a very unique blend of technology expertise, client-focused service to the real estate industry. Originally from Kelowna, BC, Tyler moved to Ottawa at the age of 12 and later earned his degree in information technology from Carleton U. Local. Amazing. Before entering real estate, he spent several years in the telecommunication industry as a UX designer. I don't even know what that means. Developing a deep understanding of people, communication, and problem solving. Since launching his real estate career in 2021, Tyler has been driven by a simple but powerful goal to make a meaningful and positive impact in people's lives through every real estate transaction. Passionate about giving back to the community through the Walkers Group for the Frontline initiative, which donates $1,000 from every sale in the month of April to the First Responders Foundation. Outside of real estate, Tyler is a devoted family man. He's a recent husband and a proud father to an 8-month-old daughter. He is also deeply committed to health, fitness, and personal growth, having recently competed in his first bodybuilding competition and already setting his sights on another competition in 2027. When he's not helping clients achieve their real estate goals or training in the gym, Tyler enjoys spending time with family and friends, discovering Ottawa's vibrant food scene, catching the latest movie, enjoying a good pint with friends. Today, I'm pleased to introduce our guest, Tyler Posadovsky. Welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me. You
Great.
nailed everything there.
Yeah, great.
We tried.
UX, that's user. I'm going to pull my millennial. I think it's user experience, correct?
Yeah, exactly. You got it. User experience. So UI, UX, that's kind of the world that I came from. So so I have my degree in information technology. So I have a tech background, but UX is the exploration of building meaningful experiences, usually in an IT perspective. But I realized that it can be transferred to anything, right? Everything has a user experience, whether it's a restaurant or the library, right? So it's essentially how somebody feels about using a service or a product and what kind of emotions are coming to the surface when they experience that. And the work that I was doing was, trying to make that as pleasant as possible when they're using the company's products, and suggesting changes based on feedback from the clients, and just trying to make the product as kick-ass as possible, basically. So it was fun work. I actually liked it quite a bit, but as you can see, I've made a bit of a jump from that
So
world.
important, right? Like, what are some of your favorite ones? Like, obviously, when you're thinking about this kind of stuff, you're daydreaming about what is that experience going to look and feel like. What are some of your favorites that come to mind?
So in terms of, in the IT world, technology, it's probably a little bit mainstream or cliche, but I think Apple comes to mind. Everything is like one coherent ecosystem. So you have your iPhone, and then you have your MacBook, and everything kind of blends seamlessly. What you do on your iPhone, you can pick up on a different device, and it's all just one coherent experience. So that's kind of what it comes to mind when I think of a perfect user experience from start to finish. So I think you can take a lot of lessons from the stuff that Apple does, and you can take that into really anything, in business or in your personal life even. I know I wouldn't take marriage advice from from Tim Apple, but I mean, it's there's something to be said for the way that they've carried that company where it is today, for sure.
Well, we had a recent defection for somebody over to Apple. Took them a
I
long
did.
time.
I actually am a big believer now in the UX. It's it took me about 28 years to
Yeah.
move from an Android to
Yeah.
but they I think they're onto something.
Yeah.
You know,
They might know what they're doing.
the Beatles, I've been listening to them. I think they're pretty good actually. I'm a slow adopter.
Uh-huh.
No, but it's no, the user experience I agree on Apple is fantastic, and it's incredible how everything integrates so well. It's actually mind-blowing. So hardcore Android user, love the Apple. But what's when you first came into your new profession, like what are the glaring things that just popped out where you're like, oh my God, like we're doing this? Because it must be when you come in from a career where you're like everything is you're trying to refine it.
Yeah.
To suddenly that it's like they've probably been putting the box in the same place for like 30 years. What stood out to you?
I would say just simplification, right? Like people, when we'll talk about the buying side for a second, right? When someone is, let's say a first-time home buyer, they want to start that process. There's so much information out there about where to start, what you should be looking for, what do you do as your first step, what do you do as your second, your third step, and it's just very confusing. So I think before anything, before marketing or before trying to stand out from a services perspective, I think it's more important than anything to just simplify that as much as possible. And instead of trying to map out everything from start to finish on the first conversation, just give them a starting point, and then remove the bloat, remove the steps that aren't necessarily important at that time, or remove the information that's not helping them at that starting point, and just get them going. Because from then on, things will come naturally. So I think that was a bit of a gap that I noticed pretty quickly when I joined, when I entered the industry. Just people were confused. They didn't know where to start. So creating guides and just creating a user experience where you can streamline that process as much as possible and take away as much of the headache as possible, I think is key for sure. Yeah.
And how, if we rewind the tape a little bit, how did you decide to make this jump in the first place? What was the catalyst if you were enjoying what you were doing?
Yeah.
What drove you to, I'm going to pack up shop and, start elsewhere?
Yeah. So my favorite thing about being a user experience designer wasn't the technical hands-on design portion, although I did enjoy that as well. Like, going and designing how a web page is going to look and feel. I did like that kind of artsy side of it. But my favorite part of the job was something like this kind of setting where you're sitting down just at a table. There's often travel involved, and you're in some boardroom meeting with the clients, and you're showing them the product that you're working on, and you're just observing how they react, right? And it's really interesting, kind of that human psychology, because sometimes people don't have the words to say when they're looking at a website or a web application. They're just sitting there, and their facial expressions will tell pretty much everything you need to know. So that was my favorite part, kind of the human aspect, meeting with the clients, gathering feedback, whether it was verbal feedback or just facial expressions and body language. We recorded all of that, right? Like if somebody didn't like the application, it was usually shown with their body language or they'd be like, that means they're confused and they have no idea what this is, right? So I really enjoyed that portion of it, and I reached a point in that career where I was thinking maybe there's something out there where that's more of the focus, because it was about 75% actually designing back in the lab and only 25% the fun part that I enjoyed. So it got me thinking maybe there's something else out there. And real estate was always kind of at the back of my mind as an industry of interest. And I knew people in the industry, and I was always keen to learn more about it. But the more that I started talking to people and, discussing with people in my network, I started to learn that it's not as much of a sales job as I thought it was. It's more of a client job or a people job. And it's in many ways, it's kind of a study of human psychology in a sense. So I decided to give it a try, and it was exactly what I was looking for. It just turned out to be the perfect job for me.
You're kind of helping people at really incredibly important and vulnerable times in their lives. Like, and they might only do it 2, 3, or 4 times in their entire life. Whether it's a new career that allows them to get a new place, they've lost a partner, they're downsizing, they're retiring, and then they're finally getting that dream home, like our cottage. So I feel like it comes at really important times.
Mm-hmm.
So the ability to lean in and have that kind of really deep relationship at those really significant times, probably super important, probably really underrated, to be frank.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, someone just thinks, oh, he's going to help me buy a house. It's like, it's not quite like that.
Yes, exactly. And I was always a little hesitant to get into the real estate industry because it sort of has there's this stigma that real estate agents are these shark-like salespeople that are, that you can just feel the commission breath, right, on the back of your neck. And that is just not who I am at all. In fact, I'm not, I'm a pretty introverted person, I'd say, overall. So that kind of shark-like approach is not who I am. And if that was what was required to do well in this job, I wouldn't be here today.
So you don't have a blue double-breasted suit with a Cadillac? No?
Always be
I say
closing.
that for
Always be closing.
Yeah. Always be. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, like the whole that whole scene from that movie there is exactly what I thought you had to be, right?
Yeah.
The Glengarry approach. So that's not who I am. So I went into it just with the experiment of, I'm just going to try to be myself and see how people react to that. And I think that's actually my biggest asset as a real estate agent, just my ability to connect with people. Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what's the feedback been like? Because obviously the experience is really important to you. You've done it for long enough to know, like, what are you seeing on the other side? Like, you must have had some pretty good conversations where someone's like, hey, Tyler, I want to tell you, this is like being exceptional.
Mm-hmm.
Can you think of anything like that? Or?
Yeah. I mean, I think, the fact that, I just got married, right? And we just had our first kid last year. I had clients come to my wife's baby shower,
Wow.
So I think that speaks for itself. Like, I think that's the coolest thing ever. Like, the relationships that I've built with some of these people is like, I have clients who are self-proclaimed aunts to my kid, right? Like, it's that kind of thing. And that's what I'm chasing when I'm working with clients. Like, I'm not there to just, get a sale. It's, those relationships. And the biggest gift that this job has given me is truly like those friendships and those, I feel, very long lasting relationships that I've built. And, like, to answer your question, I don't really need, like, the Google reviews are great, right? Like, you can see everything that people are saying, but that's real world stuff, like, that you don't, you're not going to write that on a Google review. Like, someone showing up to your wife's baby shower, like, that's pretty crazy.
It's pretty deep
stuff.
It's pretty meaningful.
Yeah.
Powerful stuff.
Absolutely.
What's happening? Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, so, you seem like a pretty astute person, and, I get the sense that you're disciplined. You probably take some coaching on things like that. Like, talk to us about mentors in your life. Like, who do you follow? Who's your, motivation being driven from?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm going to go back to my IT days for a second, there was one individual who I was very close with when I worked at that company, and he was sort of my UX mentor. He was the guy who taught me everything I currently know about user interface design and user experience, and he was a brilliant guy. But he was also, I don't know how else to say it, but he was kind of like a bit of a spiritual sort of guy. Like he wasn't really somebody you would cross, in everyday life. Like he was unique in many ways. And he taught me a really important lesson, which is don't take life too seriously, and it was, in that world of telecommunications or really any IT space, it's really uptight. Like people are tense. You're trying to meet deadlines. There's all these deliverables. There's people, you have expectations to get it done by a certain time, and everyone is stressed out and everyone's batting at each other. And meetings, are very unproductive, I find, in that world. Like people are just blaming each other for what's going on, and nothing is actually getting done, and people are stressed out. And after these meetings, which we would be a part of, we would get together and he would just laugh about it. I'm all tense and I'm stressed out. I'm like, am I supposed to be stressed and angry at somebody? And he's like, man, just laugh about it. This is just ridiculous. And he showed me the comedy in sort of the stressful and unimportant, world that was. And I carry that with me, like with everything. I try to anyways, don't take things too seriously. Don't take life too seriously, just serious enough.
Right.
Where it's not, it's serious stuff. Like life is pretty hard and it's serious, but if you're always worrying about it all the time, you're not going to be happy. So, and you're also going to be more productive.
Yeah.
Has that helped? Like during some really difficult moments, I'm sure you've had a few of your own, that those kind of bad days.
Yeah.
Does that help in there during those times?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really easy to get caught up in the motions of life. And when you're working with clients, especially if you're an empathetic person, which I like to think I am, you start to carry a lot of the burden of your clients, right? The pain that they're feeling. And when you're selling your home or you're buying your first home, it's an emotional transaction on all fronts, right? So you kind of have no choice but to carry some of those emotions and some of that baggage as well. And it can get pretty heavy, if you're dealing with 20 plus clients at a time, all needing something from you, and you have to be there for them. It can definitely weigh on you. So it's a good reminder for sure. Like just take a step back, remember to enjoy the little things in life. So it's a great question because I have many mentors, but that's definitely one that comes to mind. And then, obviously with the team that I'm on, it's just a blessing to have found this team, and Jeff and his wife Michelle and Lindsay, everyone on the team. Like I'd say in a sense they're all mentors to me.
Yeah.
But I would say Jeff definitely lifted me up at a time when I was underwater with my hand sticking out and he grabbed it. So for sure, like he's taught me a lot about the industry, not only the real estate industry, but being a good person. And to be a connector, just connect people with what they need, whether that's assistance with their financial situation or a lawyer, right? Just help people out, and don't even expect anything in return, but it's just funny how life works. Usually it does come back around in some way. Yeah. And then I would say, like I do have a fitness coach, and I've worked with him for over a year now, and I work with him because he holds me accountable, and I could probably, do these things and eat properly and work out, without his assistance, but just having him there to push me forward and not let it slip. I need that. So yeah, he's also a new dad and a new husband as well. So we connect in a lot of ways in that space. So yeah, definitely. It's important to have mentors for sure.
Well, that took a significant amount of discipline. I watched you on your socials in terms of your metamorphosis that went on there. That was pretty impressive. So I can imagine the discipline that it takes to get there.
Yeah, 2025 was a crazy year for sure. to, we got married, had my first kid. We bought a house together, my wife and I. We moved in June. And on top of that, I was training for this competition and I lost 50 pounds. Like, it's definitely near the end, near that kind of depletion stage. It started to get pretty tough.
Wow.
Yeah.
But it also teaches you to just keep going. Like, when you have a goal like that, there's no room for error. Like, failure is not an option. So those days where, I really don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to eat this 1 cup of rice with, 5 ounces of boiled chicken. I really don't want to do this right now. You just have to do it, right? And it does take a lot of discipline, but coming out on the other side of it, I think it helped me in a lot of ways. That I can't even get into everything in 1 hour. But yeah, no, it was a crazy year for sure.
Good one.
Yeah.
Who's some of your favorite online, in that space, that motivating fitness space? Like, is it like David Goggins? Is it like who are you turning to when you're trying to get motivated for yourself?
Yeah. David Goggins is a good pick for sure. Stay hard, like he takes it to the extreme
A little bit.
but it's kind of true. You can't get too soft in this world. You'll get eaten alive. You have to just, stay tough and keep going through the hard times. Like that guy, like running marathons with his feet bleeding, like
Ultra marathons.
yeah, ultra marathons, like, ex-Navy, like that guy is, he's kind of the pinnacle of that for sure. Definitely, in a lot of ways, I look up to him. I would never want to be that extreme because, like, I have a family, I have work to do. I can't take it to that level, but there's a lot of good lessons there. I would say I don't really have, Chris Bumstead from Ottawa. It's pretty cool to say that, this 6-time or whatever, Mr. Olympia he lived right here in our hometown. He's also a dad. He's a husband. Like, he's a very authentic person in my eyes. Like, I don't know. I just gravitate to people who seem authentic and don't really look like they're trying to put on a show. It's just, that's what I would say there. I'm not really too enveloped in the bodybuilding world like that. Like, I don't know of too many bodybuilders, and that's not really why I did that competition. It was more just for the challenge, just to challenge myself and see how far I could go with it.
Corey and I are building a couple bodies.
Yeah, we're building a couple. We're building a couple of gently used, put away wet too many times, saturated with alcohol and other substances that seem to be honing and crafting what you're witnessing.
If you do it right, Tyler, in 20 years, you
could look like this. You could look like this.
If you nail it.
Yeah.
You guys are stage ready.
I don't know what you mean here.
Yeah. Just drop a little bit of, just do a water depletion phase for 1 week, and you're ready to hop
a
on.
minimum.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
just water for about a month. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. The week leading up to the competition, I was drinking 7 liters of water a day. So my coach actually, rather than water depletion, believed in oversaturation of water. So I was drinking 7 liters a day. And then what it does, I think, is it sort of gives your cells like this new expectation of water. And then what you do is the day of the show or the night before, you cut off the supply completely. And then your whole body just shrinks, right? Because it's like, it's expecting this large amount and then you deplete it of that. So there's these crazy tricks that, I guarantee if you just do a little bit of water saturation, you're stage ready in 1 week.
There's hope for us.
That's it.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There's hope. This is amazing.
What do you do with the gray hair?
Yeah.
That's how do we?
I think there's stuff they can do for that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. The spray tans.
Yeah,
Remember that too.
Spray tan,
Yeah.
perfectly black, jet black hair.
Yeah.
Like, what are you, 30?
Yeah.
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 That's fun.
What's happening right now in the real estate market in Ottawa? What's going on? How it's there's obviously some highs and lows, and depending on what media outlet you listen to,
Yeah.
sounds like it's bad, but I feel like it's not that bad.
No, it's really funny how people's perception is completely impacted by everything they see online and the news headlines. And it's unfortunate that that's where we've gotten to as a society, where our attention spans are so low that, we read a headline and we just make our conclusion based on that. When you really have to be on the battlefield to know exactly what's going on. And I can tell you, it's not a bad market. Like, homes are selling and people are making moves. There's this HST incentive with the government. People are lining up, they're camping out in front of sales offices. So there's a lot of activity happening in that space. But even in the resale world, there's homes in certain pockets and certain categories of homes that are still selling very quickly. I had a listing that sold for full asking price late last month. That just happened, and it was on the market for 10 days, something like that. So if it's priced well and you have a strategy, there's no reason why anything shouldn't sell. I definitely would say, though, that there's not a huge appetite for homes that need a ton of work.
I was going to say that, yeah.
We've lost, I'd say, unfortunately, due to different, new government regulations and just overall de-incentivizing investors in our city, we're seeing a little bit less of that activity. Like, gone are the days where, there's hungry investors looking to buy properties to renovate and flip. Like, that's not really happening, at least in Ottawa. So if your home is from, 1990 or earlier and has never been touched, original furnace, original AC, your roof is leaking, your kitchen is dated, your bathrooms are dated, good luck selling that if you're not priced really well.
I would imagine, because people's cash flow is tighter right now. They still need their home. So like to your point, the activity is still there.
Yeah.
But someone who's going to go out and buy is probably less willing to say, hey, we're going to buy that house and don't worry, we'll put the $100K on our line of credit. It's like, no, they want to buy the house that already has that work done.
Yeah.
Like, we're going to pay for it. I want that work to be already looked after.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. But then again, sometimes there's people who are focused way more on the neighborhood than the home itself. And there are still people that think that way. And you really just have to know how to capture the right audience. But yeah, that's what I would say, like homes that are in need of those renovations and that work hasn't already been done. Because inventory is higher, there's usually enough options where that incentive is there. So,
Sure.
It's hard to compete.
So
That's
it's time
really
horizon too, right? I mean, I think it's at the end of the day is that I'm always a big believer in like real estate, just like the stock market. People say, oh, is it a good time to buy right now? It's always a good time to buy. It's always a good time to buy a house.
Yeah.
Just that if you're into like immediate returns, if you're going to buy a house and flip it in 6 months, or if you're going to buy a stock and flip it in 6 months, there's going to be periods of time where you have to be a bit more cautious. So like if I buy a house right now, you're going to hold it for 10 years. Like there's absolutely nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
It's just there's some pockets of people who really have to be very, very careful because if they have different time horizons, that's the time you really kind of better understand when's my entry, what's my exit going to look like.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's some crazy stuff happening right now. Like you have to really pay attention to, if you have a listing in a certain neighborhood, you have to be watching it every single day, right? And see what kind of activity is happening, what's selling, what's hitting the market. I have another listing in Finley Creek, and it was, for the longest time, this street, it's pretty much its own market, right? Like it's a certain kind of home that only exists really on this one street. There's really no other comparables. So your comparables are the street, right? So it was us and one other on the street for the longest time. And theirs was slightly different condition, slightly different price point, and it conditionally sold. So then it was just ours for a little while. And then in a span of 3 days, 3 more listings hit the market. It pretty much identical to the one we had. Plus, the one that was conditionally sold came back to market. So all in a span of 3-4 days, there's now 5 active comparables on the exact street that are all very similar. So, if you're not paying attention to that kind of thing and really hovering over the street that you have a listing in and seeing what's happening, and you don't react to that and do something, then, you're not going to have a lot of luck if you just let things go stale. So being proactive is really important in this market.
And how have the sellers been, on the assumption that, if we compare to like 4 years ago, 5 years ago. Are the sellers really struggling with sticker shock right now that it's not worth as much as they thought it was, or what? Like, what's that look like right now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's really tough. There's definitely a little bit of that kind of post-COVID trauma that everyone is feeling in some way, and it's a tough pill to swallow when you see, your home was worth $1 million on a suburban street back in 2022, and now you look around and those same homes are selling for 800, 850. That's a really tough pill to swallow. Most people I've noticed though are pretty in tune with what's going on. Like I haven't had a whole lot of conversations where their mindset and their expectations are still up here. A lot of people have come to reality and pay attention. I think what I've noticed in 5 years of real estate is if you own a home, you're also a bit of a local market expert of sorts.
Yeah.
People want to know what their asset is worth because to most people it's their biggest asset.
Yeah.
So everyone that I've talked to is, they've scrolled realtor.ca and they've seen things sell and what they sold for. So most people are pretty in tune, and I just have to be kind of the reaffirmation of what they already think and what they're already expecting. But it can be shocking at times, especially if you don't have a lot of comparables to go off of and it's not a cookie cutter home. Yeah, it's tough for sure. But things seem to be improving. So
What are some good opportunities like in the city? Like obviously people know about the Glebes, and there's some nice pockets there. What are some really interesting pockets and neighborhoods in the city that maybe aren't as well known, but are really high on your list of like, hey, we should really check these areas out because they're pretty nice?
yeah, I mean, you have the suburbs are growing, they're expanding, like areas like Finley Creek that used to be farmland, 20 years ago are now, full-fledged family communities that have everything you need. Like there's a lot of opportunities there. And, there's new buildings that are coming up everywhere downtown. And, if you want to be near Little Italy, there's new opportunities there. If you want to be a little closer to downtown and Byward, there's a lot of new developments that are taking place. Builders are building like crazy. And again, with that HST incentive, that's drawing a lot of people in. And then honestly, like outside of the city, like there's areas like Kempville that are a really good option too. And you can get in for a little bit of a lower price point. And if you're looking for a bit of a quieter space where you want a little bit less of the hustle and bustle of Ottawa life, there's some great areas a little bit outside of the city. And I think that's what we're going to see, 20, 30 years from now. It might be a little bit reminiscent of a Toronto kind of situation where we have all these very developed communities outside of the city. And, inner Ottawa will be to some unaffordable, but
If it isn't
it'll be
already.
interesting to see. Exactly. Yeah.
So, talk to us about mental aspect of being in a sales environment, having to be connected, being an introvert versus an extrovert, and the energy that's, needed to stay on top of things. Like, what does that look like? Like in our world, we kind of, talk about the iceberg, right? Are you only seeing 10% of the iceberg?
Yeah. Well, I think with anything, burnout is a real thing. So you have to really be mindful of your energy levels and just how much you're taking on. Because if I find everyone needs to recharge. So if you have kind of a stamina bar, if you think of it in terms of like video games, right? You only have so much stamina before it completely depletes, and then you're useless until that bar can recharge. So I think thinking of it sort of like a video game in that sense is helpful, because if you're mindful about that energy level and knowing where you stand, you know when to take a step back. And even if it's 5 minutes, 10 minutes, just let that build back up a little bit. Because in this world, it really is go, go, go. Like there's no stopping. It's 24/7, minus getting some hours of sleep. Although with a baby, that's been tough as well.
You
The
must
last
be
8
answering
months.
emails and stuff now in the middle of the night that you never did before.
I mean, I might as well. I'm up, right? I can't sleep through it. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, there's also, the part that people don't really see on the surface of real estate is all the conversations that you have kind of behind the scenes, getting the home ready, the emotions that are involved. The thing about it is not every transaction is happy, right? The circumstances around someone's sale are sometimes very complicated, right? Like we've helped people going through separations. We've helped people who are needing to change something about their lifestyle from a financial perspective. So sometimes there's a lot of pain involved with those sales, and they need your help, of course, like from a listing and getting the home sold and negotiating on their behalf. But sometimes they just need someone to listen to them, and they sometimes literally need a shoulder to cry on. And that's just life, right? So it's yeah, it gets real sometimes, for sure. It gets heavy, and you have to just be there for people and listen to them. And by the time you get to the finish line, there's usually a lot more that went into it besides just putting up the sold sign and running the ads online, the marketing. It's a whole lot more than that, for sure.
And how do you quiet the noise for yourself?
So yeah, no, I would say just having an outlet of some kind. So for me, it's fitness. I'd say, like going to the gym in the morning,
Yeah.
getting that done, starting the day on a strong note, and just having that mental outlet to having a release. I think that's the better word, right? Having that release so that you can attack the day and be at your best for your clients and for your family, right? For your kids. And it's a pretty cliche saying, but it's so true. If you can't help yourself, you can't help others. And if you're not at your best, you can't be at the best quality for others. So
Yeah.
that's super important. But it's also hard. Like you guys probably feel this way too in your lives. Sometimes I feel guilty about taking time for myself when I know that people need me. And that's a belief a limiting belief that you have to kind of get past, because really it's there's a bigger picture, right?
Well, no one really cares, right? It
Yeah.
must be you that cares, right? Like it
Mhm.
must be you that goes after that outlet to find that place where you can, find the zen,
Yeah.
to release and feel better and recharge, right? And because the world will just keep coming and turning no matter what, right? And
Yeah.
so those days where you're like, I'm not going to go for my walk, or I'm not going to play golf, or I'm not going to go to the gym, or I'm not going to do that, you probably end up feeling that in negative ways much more than you recognize. Like it's
Yeah. Yeah.
No one's going to tap you on the shoulder and say, hey, you really need a break.
yeah, no.
Why don't you just take a break? It's like, I don't know, it just keeps coming at you.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
24/7.
Yeah, it doesn't stop. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how fast is, and I'm sure it's the same. I mean, I kind of know the answer to some degree. I just want to hear from you.
Mhm.
Is like in the financial industry, it's changing more in the past 5 years than it has in 20. I look at the realtor industry, and it just looks like it's massively different now than it was even a few years ago. Like every realtor has to be engaged online. Like there have to be a presence. Is that what you're finding? And then are there still people that are just like, no, I'm not going online. I'm going to do it old school.
Mhm.
What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, somebody, like me at this stage in my career, I think it's absolutely essential to embrace where the world is with technology and with social media and with AI. I mean, we can dive into that as well, but this is the world that we live in. And for somebody who's only 5 years into their career, I'm only 30 years old. I could have another 30 years left of my career. If I don't embrace what's going on right now, I'm going to be left behind.
Mm.
And it's probably not as essential for someone who's 50 years into their career. A lot of real old time realtors they've built most of their business on referrals, and that if they've done a good job will sustain them for quite a while. And a lot of realtors that I respect very much, there's a lot of lessons to be taken from that, because at the end of the day, that will always come first, right? Relationship building and building loyalty, because if you give someone a good experience and you give it consistently, they will return, right? It's like the McDonald's example, right? People keep going back to McDonald's because there's an experience and a product that is consistent every single time. It's not even necessarily the best experience or the best product, but because it's the same every single time. And from a real estate perspective, if you get the exact same experience for, home sales 1 through 5 over a 20, 30 year period, there's no reason why fix something that's not broken, right? But for someone like me who's a little bit more new and I'm still building my network, I think I've found that things like social media have been very, very beneficial, and it's something that I choose to invest in, because it gives people it's sort of like a resume, right? People can see who you are, and with 4,000 plus realtors in the city, there's a lot to choose from. So that's one way to stand out, and people, I think, gravitate to people that they connect with, and that's a way to connect with somebody, and someone can get to know me before I've even entered their door. So that's important. And then I think AI, there's a lot of ways that that's changing both our industry and yours as well, I'm sure.
Sure. You kind of have to have blind faith in that, because you're not going to do it and all of a sudden immediately have incredible results.
Yeah.
And you're going to have probably older realtors say, "Oh God, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, this is ridiculous."
Yeah.
You're doing a YouTube short. That's ridiculous. But you're believing in that, right? So there must be a point where you really have to mentally believe, if I do this, this is what the outcome eventually will be.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's what I keep telling myself throughout all the TikTok dances that I've done in the past year. Okay.
We can have a show one maybe.
Yeah. Let's see it. But, for sure, it's, especially, if you're not like a viral sensation on social media, you're lucky to get 20, 30 likes on most of your posts. And it makes you think sometimes, is this a complete waste of time? Like, what am I doing here? I got 300 views on this reel that I worked for 4 hours on. Is this really worth it? But the truth is it totally is 100%. Like, people are looking at this stuff. That's something I've learned, people, if they're thinking about using your services, they go into Google, they type in your name, right? For me, Tyler Posadovsky, realtor, and they're going to see my Google reviews. They're going to see my Facebook profile. I think the third hit on Google is my Instagram. So they're probably going to click on at least the first 3 items that pop up on Google. So even if they don't have Instagram, they can still click that link, and it's going to take them to my profile. And they might watch the first 3-4 reels where I'm talking about the market, or I'm talking about a client experience, or it just sold. And because, so they're not going to scroll through my whole profile, but it just gives people an idea of who I am. And okay, he's posted 4 videos in the last week. He's pretty active. He knows what he's doing. Sometimes that's enough to just at least get to the next stage in the relationship. And then it just keeps going ideally it keeps going from there. So I haven't really looked at social media as intentionally a lead magnet of sorts, but it's definitely a good way to also keep in touch with your network and, people that I went to high school with, for example,
Sure.
Right? That I've always had on social media, and they know who I am. If I wasn't posting anything on my social media, most of these people wouldn't have any clue that I'm even a realtor. Right. So a lot of my own inner sphere business that I've generated has been from social media.
How's AI impacting you?
Man, so being a tech guy, like this is a space that I could talk about all day. It's scary in a lot of ways, especially like being a new dad. That's one thing that's really changed me. Experiencing fatherhood in the early days. I just get worried about so many things, and thinking about the future that she's going to be brought up in, and what the world is going to look like in 15, 20 years. But what AI is capable of doing is eliminating the tedious tasks that we always have had to do on our own manually, and it frees up. I get 3 hours back in my day, for example. Some of the stuff that I've set up, like I've gone down the Claude rabbit hole. So I've always used like Chat GPT, but some of the stuff you can do with Claude and co-work, it can literally take over your computer, and it can do stuff on your computer when you're not home. Like it can build you a PowerPoint presentation. It can sort through photos on your computer. It can go into your database of clients, and it can give you a list of, the top 10 people that are most likely to buy in the next 6 months or whatever, right? So that's extremely powerful stuff. And that's just one space. But it's also being used on the client side as well. People are asking Chat GPT for the top 3 realtors in Ottawa, right?
Yeah.
And it's actually making suggestions based on its analysis of who's the best and the data that it can pull. So people are starting to search for their agent or even search for homes using AI, right?
Wow.
And I think that's only going to grow from here.
I think you're right. I
Scary
think it's going to
stuff.
start showing up. We just click on it. Like it's going to give you the response,
Yeah.
because I've heard of this being adopted in some areas where it's just starting to allow like point of purchase. If you said, I want to buy something,
Yeah.
that is starting to integrate with retailers so that now it'll give you the response, and then you can say, oh, purchase.
Yeah.
So I think that's going to happen with financial advisors, accountants, realtors, lawyers, services. And I'm like, that's scary because, again, if you're like Google is always the one we were fighting against. We want to be at the top of that list.
Yeah.
But I don't know if there's a lot of people who have spent a lot of time understanding and researching how to list their business, how to make their business more credible, that when AI is scraping all the information,
Yeah.
that it lists you in its response.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Like people are using ChatGPT as their Google now,
Right.
Yes.
right? It's sort of eliminating that piece of everyday life that, it's just become pretty much second nature to everyone, right? To use Google for everything. And now that's changing. Like this is a huge paradigm shift. The way that people are using the internet and getting connected with businesses and finding people and making decisions for themselves. It's changing all of that. So yeah, I think what I'll say about all of this, just to kind of circle back to what we were saying earlier, this is why relationship building is more important than ever, because I think I don't necessarily know if there's a bubble or if this is a little bit blown out of
Think
proportion.
Skynet's coming.
Well, we'll see about that. But I do think that people are going to start to regress a little bit, and they're going to fall back to just basic fundamentals, and that's human connection.
Yeah.
Because it can get really draining, and you can just start to lose your humanity the deeper you go into this AI stuff, because it's not human. It's just computers and internet. So when it comes to finding a realtor or finding a financial advisor, AI can do a lot of this stuff for you. Even, in the fitness world, you can use ChatGPT as your fitness coach, but your fitness coach, your ChatGPT fitness coach is not a husband and a father, and it can't have a heart-to-heart to you and tell you things straight. That's the other thing. It's too friendly. It'll just tell you anything you want to hear, right?
It still makes mistakes, right? Like it's,
Absolutely.
it still struggles with spelling strawberry, or it's like you've seen that, right?
Yeah,
Where it's like, are you sure there's only one? Like it's 1 hour on strawberry. I think there's more than that. But so there's fundamental issues, That's
Absolutely. Yeah. It's not quite there. But have you heard of what's it called? The Turing test?
No.
So it's basically in the world of artificial intelligence, it's a test to see, if a human being can be fooled by an AI or a computer into thinking that it's human, right? So it's basically like you should watch what's that movie? The Ex Machina. I don't know how it's pronounced, but it's a really cool movie about this. But it's basically a test of, how can somebody be fooled by an AI and actually believe that they're human, right? And there's some pretty scary stuff that it's that we're already seeing,
Yeah.
right? Like you get a spam phone call, you pick it up, and someone has scraped all the data that they have on somebody's relative of some kind and their voice, right? And they can now manipulate their voice into scaring that person who picked up into doing something. Like, I need you to wire me $10,000 to this account right now. It's an emergency. Don't ask any questions. And it's already starting. So
Crazy.
moving forward, I think critical thinking is going to be everything, right?
need, like,
Question everything.
We're gonna need code words with our mom or something like that. It's almost like Terminator when he.
That's what I said. Skynet, right?
What's your
Like
dog's name?
yeah.
It's Rover. It's like, how's Fluffy doing? And he's like, oh, Fluffy's fine. He's like, the family's dead.
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because at our brokerage meeting a few months ago, we had this AI expert come in, and we've seen him a couple of times, and he's the most up-to-date guy I know about all of these topics. And he said the exact same thing. Like, I know you're joking about it, but he said, moving forward, families should have like a family passcode, right?
Yeah.
To always remember in a circumstance where you might question if this is real or not. Like, what's the password, right? And just
something distinguished mom when she calls you and says, can you send me 20 grand?
Yeah.
And you're like, sure, mom, as soon as you tell me the passcode.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
That's
exactly.
that's scary. It's weird. It's shifted so much. Like 3 years ago was the first time that I actually remember someone telling me about note-taking apps. Like, oh, you can use AI to have a meeting and we're going to take notes. And up until then, nobody had ever done that.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, wow, this is interesting. And people just started using AI. And now we're to a point where it's not uncommon to see AI being used. Like, it's, like I would expect that you're going to use it and Corey's going to use it and other professionals are going to use it. That's very common now. And I also expect that sometimes I've seen clients where they've sent an email that has been somewhat posed by AI because they've probably thought, I'm going to reach out to my financial planner and ask him some questions. So they probably ask AI, here's a bunch of questions I have. And I get a very AI looking email. But then sometimes I find that in order to respond, then sometimes you see that either I've sent it, they've sent it. And you almost have like AI is helping every stage of the way. And that starts to feel a little bit scary because it's like you said, you're losing some of that human interface piece.
Yeah.
Where it doesn't feel so robotic.
Yeah.
And it's almost like the stock markets. I find that even with our world on the investment side, part of it was fun before was that there was a human element. There was psychology and emotion. So I think this company that makes these glasses is a great buy. You think it's worth selling. And there's going to be this human element where we're kind of at divides on this. And one of us is going to win and one of us is going to lose depending on what choice we make on do we buy that stock or we sell that stock.
Right.
Now there's all these computer integration and artificial intelligence that it uses thresholds and buys and sells at whim. There's no emotion part of it. But I think if we're all doing that, then we're kind of missing out because like the whole point of this is where you want to be the opposite of the trades. Like you want to you want to be on the opposite side.
Right.
So if you're part of all the efficiency models and all the AI is doing the same thing, isn't that kind of messed up a little bit? Like it's
I totally hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because eventually it's just going to phase out however humans are integrated into that system entirely. And if it's just an AI, eventually, like you've lost right now, like you said, traditionally it's been 100% human bets basically, right?
Yep.
You're transacting and you're betting on a stock, and for you to profit, someone has to lose, right? Like that's how it's always worked. But if it goes from 100% to now, it's probably a scary number, probably 30 to 40% or more AI influenced, till eventually that gets to 100%. The algorithm will just have a way to kind of calibrate itself to it's talking to itself, and in a sense that kind of destroys the entire market.
Yeah.
Getting a lot of institutions right now, more so in the US and in Canada, on the analyst side. So if you think about like a JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, they're going through the largest analyst layoff in history in arguably the highest running stock market in history. And they're being replaced, these analysts, by AI. And so, will this be a cycle? Will analysts come back? I believe so. I feel like it was very similar when email started, right? We thought that every single administrative person was going to lose their job. And it turns out instead of them pumping out, 2 or 3 letters a day, they can do 500 emails in a day,
Yeah.
right? And scheduling and all these things. And so it's definitely disruptive and there's definitely challenges there. But I think the human element is so critical.
Yeah. I think people will always come back to that. It's human nature, right? And I think that will always come out on top. So it's happened before in history, I'm sure. Maybe not to this degree, but people get excited about the new thing,
Yeah.
right? Whether that's the internet or, now in this case, AI, but I think it'll run its course, but I think people will always fall back on just organic human face-to-face connection.
Yeah.
Right. And that's my hope anyway.
Oh, I think you're right.
Yeah, especially when there's deep emotions, right? Like when you have like massive fear. Like I look back on COVID crisis.
Yeah.
Prior to that, we'd had a really nice run up, and I guess sometimes when I find these big run ups, like we're having now, is a good point. People get euphoric and they think I can do this, and I don't need anybody, and then all of a sudden we have massive volatility and fear, and the stock market's crashing. Suddenly, I'm looking at Twitter and watching the reaching out, and I'm seeing people say, like, of course, these are all people doing their own trading with no advice. They've chosen to have no expert advice. And they're like, I've been on the phone for 4 hours waiting. I've been on the phone for 8 hours. I've called 3 days in a row. Nobody's called me back. Well, of course, nobody's calling them back. They don't have anybody that's working for them anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's just like in your world, it's all fun and dandy, when you're trying to do your own research and do the AI. But at the end of the day, when all of a sudden they're like, am I going to be okay, Tyler, yet? Am I going to sell my house? Are we getting that house that we dreamed of? Yeah. That one I've been looking at with my wife for the last 3 days. Are we going to get this house? Like, it's very reassuring to have someone say, I'm on it. It's good. We're working this deal out. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
As opposed to just some kind of like generic computer exchange.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly. And I think that's the experience that a lot of people are going to have. And they need to be very careful about using this technology, especially when it comes to their finances. I mean, this is and long-term planning as well. That's what I love about you guys. Like, it's a much bigger picture rather than just, what stock should I be invested in? It's like, let's come up with a whole plan for my financial picture in my future. And, that's a really complicated conversation, and it's ongoing and it changes dynamically, right? Yearly, depending on how the world is. Yep. And, you've told me things straight before, like you've given me some tough love, things I don't necessarily want to hear. I've asked ChatGPT the same questions, and it's like, yeah, that's a great idea. You're thinking we're on. Yeah, that's so smart of you to be thinking along those terms, and that's exactly the type of thought process that's going to bring you success in the long term. Like, it's always
it pumps you so
pump
good.
You up. It's like,
yeah, I'm so smart.
Yeah,
exactly. It's so good.
Yeah.
So that's its fundamental programming from its birth, right? So I don't know if that can really change. I think it's way too friendly, and it's also not going to give you that tough love that you need to hear.
Yeah, we literally need like a 1975 AI dad. Like, we need that.
Totally.
That would be like
Gen X.
That's a ridiculous idea. Get working.
Yeah, exactly. Write
You're
that down.
Idiot.
That's dumb.
Yeah.
Get to work.
Get to work.
You're going to be nothing.
Yeah. No.
Yeah. No, we need.
I think
1975.
I want that agent. I want that
agent. Yeah, just like
the agent.
Yeah, you're never going to be anything.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
Well, on that note, Tyler, I think this very much was a really good human conversation. It's great to see you growing and evolving, and it's been a pleasure, having you trust in us and work alongside us. And it's, you've got a really great brand out there, and you've got a really good support team, and congratulations on the success, and all the best in the future. And thanks for being on the show today.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys. A lot of fun, and I've always wanted to do something like this. So
thanks for joining us and giving back. The way you guys give back, it's incredible. That's well done.
Amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely it feels good for sure. That's what it's all about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so if someone wants to reach out and see you, tell us about the usual places they can connect. You got a very, very strong online presence.
Yeah, so just the basics, Facebook, Tyler Posadovsky, and my Instagram at Posadovsky Realty. Those are the platforms I'm most active on.
It's
And
got to be the only.
Yeah.
You must be the only one in the city with that last name, so it should be easy to find.
Yeah.
it's pretty easy to find. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, there's not a lot of Posadovsky realtors out there that I've seen.
Yeah.
So yeah, just social media. I'm always active on there, and I do newsletters and stuff as well. But social media is where I always try to put the most value and give people market updates and what's going on in the market. So
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us again.
absolutely. Thanks, guys.